The Belly and the Members. The members of the body once rebelled against the belly. "You," they said to the belly, "live in luxury and sloth, and never do a stroke of work, while we not only have to do all the hard work there is to be done, but are actually your slaves and have to minister to all your wants. Now we will do so no longer, and you can shift for yourself in the future." They were as good as their word, and left the belly to starve. The result was just what might have been expected. The whole body soon began to fail, and the members and all shared in the general collapse. And then they saw too late how foolish they had been. The Bald Man and the Fly. A fly settled on the head of a bald man and bit him. In his eagerness to kill it, the bald man hit himself a smart slap. But the fly escaped, and said to him in derision, "You tried to kill me for just one little bite. What will you do to yourself now for the heavy smack you've just given yourself?" "Oh, for that blow I bear no grudge," he replied, "for I never intended myself any harm. But as for you, you contemptible insect, who live by sucking human blood, I'd have borne a good deal more than that for the satisfaction of dashing the life out of you." The Ass and the Wolf. An Ass was feeding in a meadow, and, catching sight of his enemy the Wolf in the distance, pretended to be very lame and hobbled painfully along. When the Wolf came up, he asked the Ass how he came to be so lame, and the Ass replied that in going through a hedge he had trodden on a thorn, and he begged the Wolf to pull it out with his teeth. "In case," said the Ass, "when you eat me, it should stick in your throat and hurt you very much." The Wolf said he would, and told the Ass to lift up his foot, and then gave his whole mind to getting out the thorn. But the Ass suddenly let out with his heels and fetched the Wolf a fearful kick in the mouth, breaking all his teeth. And then he galloped off at full speed. As soon as he could speak, the Wolf growled to himself, "It serves me right. My father taught me to kill, and I ought to have stuck to that trade instead of attempting to cure." The Monkey and the Camel. At a gathering of all the beasts, the Monkey gave an exhibition of dancing, and entertained the company vastly. There was great applause at the finish, which excited the envy of the Camel, and made him desire to win the favour of the assembly by the same means. So he got up from his place and began dancing, but he cut such a ridiculous figure as he plunged about and made such a grotesque exhibition of his ungainly person that the beasts all fell upon him with ridicule and drove him away. The Sick Man and the Doctor. A sick man received a visit from his doctor, who asked him how he was. "Fairly well, doctor," said he, "but I find I sweat a great deal." "Ah," said the doctor, "that's a good sign." On his next visit he asked the same question, and his patient replied, "I'm much as usual, but I've taken to having shivering fits, which leave me cold all over." "Ah," said the doctor, "that's a good sign too." When he came the third time and inquired as before about his patient's health, the sick man said that he felt very feverish. "A very good sign," said the doctor. "You are doing very nicely indeed." Afterwards a friend came to see the invalid, and on asking him how he did, received this reply, "My dear friend, I'm dying of good signs." The Travellers and the Plane Tree. Two travellers were walking along a bare and dusty road in the heat of a summer's day. Coming presently to a plane tree, they joyfully turned aside to shelter from the burning rays of the sun in the deep shade of its spreading branches. As they rested looking up into the tree, one of them remarked to his companion, "What a useless tree the plane is! It bears no fruit and is of no service to man at all." The plane tree interrupted him with indignation. "You ungrateful creature," it cried, "you come and take shelter under me from the scorching sun, and then, In the very act of enjoying the cool shade of my foliage, you abuse me and call me good for nothing." The moral of the story is that many a service is met with ingratitude. The Flea and the Ox. A Flea once said to an Ox, "How comes it that a big strong fellow like you is content to serve mankind and do all of their hard work for them, while I, who am no bigger than you see, live on their bodies and drink my fill of their blood and never do a stroke for it all?" To which the Ox replied, "Men are very kind to me, and so I am grateful to them. They feed and house me very well, and every now and then they show their fondness for me by patting me on the head and neck." "They'd pat me too," said the Flea, "if I let them, but I take good care they don't, or there would be nothing left of me." The Birds, the Beasts, and the Bat. The birds were at war with the beasts, and many battles were fought, with varying success on either side. The Bat did not throw in his lot definitely with either party, but when things went well for the birds, he was found fighting in their ranks. When, on the other hand, the beasts got the upper hand, he was to be found among the beasts. No one paid any attention to him while the war lasted, but when it was over and peace was restored, neither the birds nor the beasts would have anything to do with so double-faced a traitor, and so he remains to this day a solitary outcast from both. The Man and His Two Sweethearts. A man of middle age, whose hair was turning grey, had two sweethearts, an old woman and a young one. The elder of the two didn't like having a lover who looked so much younger than herself, so whenever he came to see her, she used to pull the dark hairs out of his head to make him look old. The younger one, on the other hand, didn't like him to look so much older than herself, and she took every opportunity of pulling out the grey hairs to make him look young. Between them they left not a hair on his head, and he became perfectly bald. The Eagle, the Jackdaw, and the Shepherd. One day a Jackdaw saw an Eagle swoop down on a lamb and carry it off in its talons. "My word," said the Jackdaw, "I'll do that myself." So it flew high up into the air, and then came shooting down with a great whirring of wings onto the back of a big ram. It had no sooner alighted than its claws got caught fast in the wool, and nothing it could do was of any use. There it stuck, flapping away, and only making things worse instead of better. By and by up came the Shepherd. "Oh ho!" he said, "so that's what you'd be doing, is it?" And he took the Jackdaw and clipped its wings and carried it home to his children. It looked so odd that they didn't know what to make of it. "What sort of bird is it, father?" they asked. "It's a Jackdaw," he replied, "and nothing but a Jackdaw, but it wants to be taken for an Eagle." And the moral of the story is, if you attempt what is beyond your power, your trouble will be wasted, and you court not only misfortune but ridicule.